Marc Freedman has a purpose. As managing partner and co-founder of Evolved Profits, he and his team have over 40 years of experience in helping businesses free up cash so that it can be reinvested into helping employees, growing the business, and creating positive social impact. He is a serial entrepreneur, CEO, and the best-selling author of Expense to Profit: Eliminate the Costs That Sabotage Your Growth. Marc loves helping companies create more profits while being an agent for change. This is his purpose, and in an effort to help more companies and more people, Marc, along with co-host Yanik Silver, author of Evolved Enterprise, bring you Profits with Purpose, a podcast that aims to do just that. On the show, Marc and Yanik talk to successful corporate decision makers, exploring valuable lessons learned, experiences in growing a company, ways to reduce expenses, and all the ways a company can have a positive social impact. Join us each week and get in on the discussion so we can all have more profits with purpose. And now, here's your host, Marc Freedman.
Welcome to Profits with Purpose. Today's guest is Todd Miller, who has spent his entire career in the metal building products manufacturing industry. He's president of Isaiah Industries, an organization recognized as one of the world's leading metal roofing manufacturers. Todd is currently vice president of the Metal Roofing Association, and he's a past chair of the Metal Construction Association. Through his website, he strives to raise the bar on standards and practices to provide property owners with the best possible products for a successful roofing project. Todd, welcome to Profits with Purpose.
Hey, thanks so much. I look forward to our conversation.
So why don't we start with your background and what made you decide to stay in the family business?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I graduated from college with a degree in communications, which I often joke didn't really prepare me to do a whole lot other than talk, I guess. So I was trying to figure that out, and I was out interviewing. My father had started this business about 6 years earlier in 1980. And I had worked here summers, and helped out even some during the year with some writing and different things. And came out of undergrad, and I wasn't really sure. Dad wasn't sure that it was the right thing for me to join the business either. But I started interviewing a few places and said, gee whiz, I can either start entry level at a business I don't know at all, or I can enter a business that I know and am already have some relationships and hopefully hit the ground running a little bit faster that way. So I did that and have enjoyed it. It's been a great honor for many years to serve alongside my father when he had some health problems and had to leave the business. Then it left me and my business partner, who interestingly was my college roommate. And he and I had sat around the library numerous times dreaming and scheming of maybe having a hot dog stand on a beach in Florida someday and maybe having a business together. And when I entered the business full time with Dad, and we needed someone to bring someone in on the financial end of things, that was when my college roommate came in. And so now we've been business partners now since 1988 or something like that. So it's been a good ride.
Yeah, it's always helpful when you've got somebody you can trust, right? Especially when it comes to the financial part of the business.
Marc, I often tell people, and this is interesting, so a piece of advice someone gave to me early on in business was never hire a friend. And, I kind of understood that and kind of took it to heart, but it just always made me scratch my head. And a couple of years later, I said, I don't understand that. Why would you not hire somebody that you already know their values and their work ethic and, what they stand for and what they live for? And so it's interesting. Our company, actually for a number of years now, has strictly hired through referrals and personal connections. We kind of bring it into our faith life also. Part of my daily prayer life is, Lord, bring us the team members we need when we need them and give us the wisdom to recognize them. And so I've often hired folks without even knowing exactly what they were going to be doing, just because I knew that it was a good fit for our company and I knew that they were going to fit in well with our organization.
Wow. Sometimes we're just blessed with going against what the trend says and doing what our heart and our mind says. Sure. So yeah, that works too. So let's talk about your roofing business. and what makes it different than other roofing manufacturing companies?
So my father, he was the engineer. He had been with Alcoa Building Products for a number of years before starting this business. And so he always worked a lot with the engineering and product development and design. And so whereas a lot of companies out there in the metal roofing industry are making metal roofs that you probably think of when you think about a metal roof, which is basically these long strips of metal that start at the bottom of the roof and go up toward the peak. And that's something called standing seam, or there's some variations on that too. We manufacture a little bit of that, but our real specialty is what we call modular panels or metal shingles. So we make metal products that look like traditional roofing. They may look like asphalt shingles. They may look like high-end slate or tile or wood shakes. We even get involved sometimes in a lot of historical preservation projects where they want to have a roof that looks like an old tile roof or an old wood shake roof. And so that's kind of our specialty. And the cool thing about it is these types of panels are pretty easy to ship worldwide. So if you imagine that type of metal roofing I talked about first, those long panels, those are a little more difficult to ship because you're dealing with panels that might be 35, 40 feet long. Our product just comes in cartons and goes on pallets, and we can ship it any place. And in fact, do a decent amount of exporting, which is kind of unusual for the building products industry in America. There's not a lot of American building products sent overseas. But we have had years where we have been as high as about 40% export.
Wow. Yeah, it's kind of amazing. You don't see much of that. It's usually the other way coming in, but
Absolutely.
when you have something unique and different, I guess that that gives you opportunity, right?
It does. We've sold a lot into Japan in particular, where historically they have used tile roofing, which is indigenous. It's made there. But tile roofing is very heavy, which means it poses an extra threat if you have seismic activity, earthquakes, which they're fairly known for. And so introducing metal roofing over there has been a real plus because it's also made their structures safer.
Wow. Cool. So you became the decision maker once your dad unfortunately had some health issues. How has the business grown since you've been in charge versus when dad was in charge?
I certainly have, he was the engineering guy. And as I mentioned earlier, my business partner today is the finance guy. So that's always left me as the guy who I guess was taught how to talk. And so my focus has always been on sales and marketing. So the business is definitely that top leadership role, and what they care about definitely impacts a business. So we're not as driven by product and engineering as we were at one time when dad was at the helm, and much more driven by marketing and spreading the sales and spreading the availability of our product throughout the country and beyond.
Yeah, I'm sure though, with his background, it actually gave you a good base of product that could differentiate you from the other types of metal manufacturers that are out there.
Oh, absolutely. No doubt about it. And set a lot of practices in our on our shop floor and in engineering and manufacturing that are so important to us today still. Absolutely.
Sure. It's nice to have disparate backgrounds to make a business be more successful.
You need that balance. Absolutely.
Sure.
You really do. And we've been blessed. One of the things I've been very blessed by over the years is the average tenure across our company is about 17 to 18 years. I have a number of team members who have been here for 30 to 35 years. And that means a lot too. And especially out on the plant floor, and when you think of machine maintenance and engineering and things, that experience means a great deal to us.
Sure. As I go, the old broom knows, the new broom may sweep better, but the old broom knows where to find the dirt.
There you go. I like that.
Right.
I'll remember that one.
Yeah, something like that, right? So are there certain challenges that you face managing the business? And if there are, how do you overcome them?
I think that every business always has challenges. Sometimes it seems like you wake up and it's a new day and it's a new challenge. I think one of the ways that we have done that as a company is a lot of times those challenges involve decisions, and you got to decide, okay, are we going to do this or we're going to do that, or how are we going to behave? And so about 12 years ago, my business partner and I had worked with some others here. It was a team effort, and we wrote core values for the company.
Mhm.
And those core values become what I refer to as the banks of the river. So when we come up with those times where you have to make decisions, and maybe it's a decision for expansion, maybe it's a decision for how you handle a problem, but we weigh them against those core values. And those become, like I said, the banks of the river to determine how we're going to behave. And in our case, a lot of folks will pick up on it when we tell them the name of the company is Isaiah Industries, and that kind of makes them scratch their heads and they wonder about the Isaiah name. And yes, we indeed did take that from the prophet Isaiah in the Old Testament. But our goal at that time, and we actually chose that name of the company about the time that my partner and I completely bought out Dad's interest in the business. There were some marketing reasons that we wanted to change the name of the company. We still kept the original name, but it became a brand rather than the company name. And so we wanted a new corporate name. We also wanted sort of a corporate umbrella. And so we chose the Isaiah name, and we chose that largely to be very public and out there with our faith. And, one of the things I remember a team member who had asked me, he said, Todd, I'm not quite on a faith journey the way that you are. So what does this mean if the company takes more of that track? And I said, let me ask you this. I said, the way we look at it's really about relationships and what Jesus Christ calls us to as far as how we behave in relationships. And I said, can you understand or can you relate to the fact that all in business relates heavily to good relationships? And this person said, absolutely. That's the way that I behave. And I said, yes, I know that you do, and that's why you're here. And so, he continued to fit right in. And he did actually leave me a while back to try something else in a career, but he'd been with us 30 years at that point, and we're still great friends. So anyway, we wrote our core values, which are largely biblically based, and that kind of helps us in making those decisions.
Yeah, it's that faith influence can be good rails to keep you focused.
Sure. That's certainly what we have found. And it's cool too when it opens up conversations to bigger things, more important things, shall we say. And so that's a lot of fun also.
So our conversation so far basically shows me that relationships are important to you.
Right.
How does that positively affect the way your business operates?
It's interesting. And in the building materials industry, it's fairly competitive. Now, as I mentioned, we're kind of unique with some of our products, but we're not a lone wolf either. There's a few other companies doing similar things to what we're doing. And so for us, it really is about having those long-term relationships with customers so that, you're not always having to go out and find new customers. It's always easier to grow an existing customer than it is
Sure.
to go out and find a new customer.
Right.
And so that importance on relationships means a lot there. If I look back over the 40 some odd year history of our company and think about the contractors who we've worked with who buy our products and sell and install them, I literally can think of 2 times when we had a contractor leave us because they decided they were going to handle another company's product.
Hmm.
We just have been very blessed with a hugely loyal customer base. And, and that's all about relationships. It's all about because they know that they have a company that cares about them and will go the extra mile for them and do whatever they can to make them successful. One of the things that I probably say ad nauseum around here is that we are only successful when our customers are
Mhm.
successful. And so we have to make sure that those folks are successful or we're certainly not living it out either.
Sure. Let's talk about your Roofs of Love outreach program. As the show is Profits with Purpose, and that's why we interview business owners to find out, what are they doing to make the world better? And when we saw that on your site, it was like, wow, this is pretty cool.
Over the years, and one of the things that we recognize is, roofing is a necessity of life. I mean, it's a basic necessity. So we're in the necessity business, if you will. And over the years, we've had a lot of times where folks came to us desperately in need of roofing. And we felt very honored and blessed if we were able to help them out, if it was something that made sense for them and their situation and their home. Well, last year we kind of codified that, made a little more official with our Roofs of Love program. And through Roofs of Love, we have teamed up with a number of our dealers across the country for the purpose of letting them choose someone in their area who is deserving of a new roof. And I remember one couple was a disabled veteran and his family. Another couple I recall was an older gentleman who was really in very poor, failing health. And they had actually made a roofing decision that turned out to not have been a good decision, and went with a contractor who didn't do the greatest job for them. And so those are just a couple of examples of situations where we then teamed up with our local dealer to bring them a roof of love at no charge and to replace and give them a new roof. And so that's something that we do across the country, and we're always looking for those opportunities where we can do that. And my dream, again, we just made the whole Roofs of Love official last year, but my dream would be actually to create that as a nonprofit of its own someday that we can support and others can support in order to really blow this up. And, I realize the fact that sometimes those roofs of love may not be our product because, depending upon the house and situation, our product may not be right for it. So, we can certainly go out and choose other products to gift people as well.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's cool stuff. And it was just fun realizing, we're in a necessity business. I mean, shelter is a basic necessity of life. So we kind of saw that as being one of our callings. I mean, there's other things that our company has been blessed to do. There's a local food pantry that before COVID was active, and we had supported it both financially, but then also we had team members that went in and staffed it one day a week, every week. Unfortunately, they kind of had to close down during COVID and kind of switch their way of doing things. So we're not back working with them today, but hopefully at some point we'll find another relationship like that.
Very interesting. I was just going to ask you that question and you beat me to it.
Sorry about that.
No worries. It's great. That's what having a conversation is all about, and the fact that you're giving back and you're creating a positive impact in the society, outside of just your Roofs of Love, I think is phenomenal. I mean, we all try to do everything that we can do as best as we can. And, as long as we're in there and we're giving back and we're helping the world become a better place, I think that's what it's all about.
Well, absolutely. And one of the things that we've also seen is, we do believe in metal roofing. I mean, it's not just what we do. It really is. We believe in a lot of situations, whether it's our product or someone else's product, it makes sense. So one of the cool things I've been blessed with in my industry, and you'd mentioned it in my little bio, is to be involved with a group called the Metal Roofing Alliance. And Metal Roofing Alliance and Metal Construction Association, both are trade associations made up of us and our competitors, all for the purpose of going out and being educational and being helpful across the industry to help folks discover the right roofing materials for them and their buildings.
Great. You may have already answered this question earlier, but still I'll ask it again because I always like asking this one. What's the best piece of advice you've ever been given that has helped you be successful?
Best piece of advice I've ever been given. I really do. And I didn't really officially answer it earlier, but I do think it's having those core values. in your organization. And they aren't something that we pull out and read from a ancient scroll every day or anything like that. But we know that they're there. We all know what they are, and we refer to them regularly. And our first core value is to honor God in all we do, and make sure that our actions are always God honoring. I know another one is having a positive impact in all that we do. There's a great Brennan Manning quote, which a lot of us have posted around our office spaces here. And it basically says, in every interaction, every opportunity we have for an interaction with somebody, we either give energy or we take energy. We either do something positive or we suck something out of that relationship. And so the point there is we want to always be the ones giving something positive to every relationship and every interaction. So I think probably the best advice, and I remember when it happened, it was a gentleman who came into our business, and we had never really had core values established before that. And, he helped me realize we really did need to codify this way that we were behaving and working and living. And so that was huge advice. But I gotta tell you, I've been blessed with so many amazing mentors and people in my life. That really was a hard question to answer, Mark, because
it's one of my favorites.
I don't know anything myself. It's strictly stuff other folks have taught me or told me.
Hey, look, there's no reason why you can't borrow from others. That's what it's all about, because my favorite one is an Albert Einstein quote, and that's that you can't solve problems by using the same kind of thinking that we used when we created them. And so, that's one that I use all the time, especially with clients, to, get the right mindset of how do you solve these problems that you have? Well, you got to use a different approach. So, I think everybody calls that thinking out of the box.
Yeah.
But I'll attribute it to Albert Einstein, because he was certainly an out-of-the-box thinker, and certainly someone that we've used for our core values in our business to help us be more successful as well.
Wow, that's great. Good stuff. Good stuff.
So is there anything else that I haven't mentioned that you want to touch on?
We've covered a lot here. And again, I am so blessed by the team that we have here and the experienced team that we have. And I think that that's important for any business manager, is to think about investing back in your team, and making sure that you're keeping those folks long term. There's something that happens, when you do the same thing for a long time. You develop a level of mastery that otherwise you never reach. And, sadly, I think that's one of the things our country is experiencing right now as a result of the great resignation, is you've got all these folks who have moved into new positions where they're forced to learn new things, which is good. It's always good to learn, but it also brings everything back a step when you've got a lot of entry-level folks in your organization, rather than those old experienced people. So, one of the things that our team members bless me to do is be involved with a local inner city ministry, where we hold church services and provide breakfast every Sunday for what we call our downtown community. And just very grateful that our team here allows me the time to do that, because that's probably the greatest blessing in my life right now, other than my family.
Absolutely phenomenal. That's great. So where can listeners go to get in contact with you? We'll put it all in the show notes and everything if they want to get in touch.
Well, I always love hearing from people. I will say that. And one of the easiest ways really is I have an educational website, not trying to sell anything, simply educating and answering questions about roofing, because that's my topic, ventilation and other home improvement things. And that website is asktoddmiller.com, asktoddmiller.com. And people can reach me through that. You can easily email me through that, or send me a question or connect with me, and my phone number's all over that as well. But asktoddmiller.com is the easiest way.
Perfect. Todd, thank you so much. Continued success in what you're doing, both business-wise and community-wise, because that's really what life is all about, and that's really what's important.
Good stuff. Good words, Mark. Well, good. All best to you. Thank you for what you're doing. You're making the world a better place. I know that, and focusing on spotlighting some great stories out there. So appreciate all you're doing.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Profits with Purpose. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you are interested in reducing the expenses of your business, creating positive social impact, or contributing to the show, reach out to Marc or Yanik with Evolved Profits by emailing podcast@evolvedprofits.com or visiting the website www.evolvedprofits.com.